Hey, everyone.
Hello,
Hi there.
hello.
Good morning, Sidetracked Sisters.
Yes, so today is not the Lisa and Judy show. It is the Sidetracked Sisters full experience. So I am Lisa and
Sidetracked Sisters extravaganza.
Huh?
The Sidetracked Sisters extravaganza.
There you go.
Michelle, my sister, and Sandy, my mother. So we are all on today, and we are going to talk about the importance not just of writing, but how important it is to get together with people, gathering with others to have a writing experience and how beneficial it is for us. So we are the Sidetrack Sisters, and we get together right now every week, every Thursday.
That's right.
And at this point, we're getting together at Mom's house. We get together every Thursday at Sandy's house, and somebody brings a salad item. So one week, somebody brings lettuce, somebody else brings a meat, somebody else brings a bread, and somebody else brings veggies. And you can bring other stuff too. And then we eat, we talk, we connect, and we write. So that is what Sidetracked Sisters is. And our goal for Sidetracked Sisters is really to write and develop our legacy for our families and get that down on paper, and ultimately to encourage other people to write down their legacies too.
Michelle's showing us the books.
You know, it's lovely on YouTube. People are going to be able to see that. She is currently holding up our books that we've written. So we currently have 2 published books, Sidetracked Stories, that are available on Amazon, a compilation of all of our blog posts. And we are 49 into 52 weeks of our 3rd book. Yes?
Wow, almost up to 3.
So that is who we are. And that is a really significant part of our writing, is getting together and writing together. So with that being said, you know, that isn't always the way Sidetracked Sisters has looked. So, Mom, why don't you kind of talk about some of the history of where we've been and where we started from?
Well, first of all, we had talked about wanting to get together, and just because, you know, we all have such separate lives, we have a very hard time getting together. Just us. We always have all of our families mixed in and the demands of their lives. But I think it's kind of interesting. How did we decide on our name, for one thing? And I guess because we are so diversified, we decided that Sidetracked Sisters was a good start. So that is what we, you know, named. And we've always enjoyed going to craft shows at during the holidays and during the summer also. And I've always loved to put together things and make things, you know, and so we decided that we would try to do that. And so that's basically the main job of Sidetracked Sisters. Way back when we did craft shows, and we did that for several years, and it was very successful, but it was so stressful for us. Our families were growing and our demands were increasing, and so
And it was a lot of work. I mean, as Michelle, you know, was reminiscing a few minutes ago, you know, when you have a home show, your house is torn apart to make the displays. And there was that one year that your house never recuperated.
No,
it did recuperate eventually, but it took many years for it to recuperate. And I believe that was the year that the one year that we did Christmas at my house.
Yeah.
Because your house, that was
probably.
Yeah, because normally Christmas is at your house, but that year your house just never recovered, and so we did Christmas at my house.
And the home show was always what we call here in Wisconsin Widow's Weekend. It was the weekend that deer hunting season starts. And so lots of women in our town would have different houses would have home shows with crafts. And so we kind of jumped on that bandwagon. And I mean, you would advertise in the newspaper. There was a section that would have all the home shows, and groups of people, mostly women, would go from house to house, you know, looking at stuff, enjoying the Christmas decorations, and buying stuff for Christmas. And yeah, we made.
And we even invited other people to join us, you know, like we had an artist that joined us, So we had I think we had a really big craft show compared to.
did.
In the days before social media. So I think we even sent out postcards a couple of
We
years.
did. Judy
Yep.
sent out postcards, and of course, there was the year she put the wrong address, which is always the one I'm reminded of. I put 819 Grove Street instead of 819 North Street, so we had to figure that one out. But you know, it wouldn't be Judy if there wasn't a mistake once in a while. So, but we recovered. People regrouped and came to our place, didn't they, Sandy?
Eventually. And the poor people who are 819 Grove Street were quite confused.
Judy,
Well, they were
can you
very
make your-
nice.
Judy, your microphone needs to come a little bit closer to your mouth.
How's that? Is that better?
Better. Yeah.
Okay. Is it slim
Okay,
so
so
I get
after
a
the
little
craft
softer?
show, so
Well,
we were doing craft shows. Mhm.
I was gonna say that, as far as our name too, Mom said we're very all over the place,
Diverse.
but I say that we're all very sidetracked. The minute one time somebody starts talking about something, and then suddenly it transitions over to something else, and then it transitions over to something else, and we are all very sidetracked in our personalities and our lives and everything, and so not just diversified, but easily
We're
distractible.
multifaceted individuals.
I
Yes.
think we all have a touch of ADD.
I think
So,
Focus is not our main name.
No,
Nuh-uh.
so-
Focus Sisters would not have worked.
No, we are very sidetracked.
We are not the
in our-
focus
in our
family. No.
personalities.
And we do get
But you know, I
confused.
think I'm sorry, Sandy, go ahead.
We do get confused with the store, Twisted Sisters, and that we are not a part of that. And even though my husband likes to call us the Twisted Sisters.
Yeah,
He thinks it's
there's a
cute.
store downtown that's called Twisted Sisters that we are not. That is not us.
Well, the other piece of that is, I mean, Lisa was a school teacher, Michelle is a software engineer, Sandy was a paralegal and legal secretary, and I was a banker. So that's pretty diverse. We all came from a different place, but we all came together to do Sidetracked Sisters.
Right.
So, but then we stopped doing the craft shows.
We did. Because
And-
it got to a point where you could go to Walmart, or you could go to a Target or Kohl's, and you could buy the same kind of things, but for $5,
Yeah.
it was being mass produced from China or wherever. And it just was not, for the time and effort that we put into our items, it just
We couldn't compete.
wasn't worth it. And and to be honest, I don't, at this point, I don't see craft shows being held in homes anymore.
Mm-mm.
It was
Not in our area.
a different time at that point that you did that.
Yeah.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think the whole point of doing this was for us to get together, because we all said we live in different houses. So we are always in our own houses and we're separate. However, for the craft show, we thought, oh, we'll get together. But we didn't. We were doing
No.
the crafts alone, and then
Mhm.
we'd get together for the show. But that wasn't quite what we were looking for. So
Yeah, I
it
mean, if
started-
you can think that you want to do crafts together, but then when you think about schlepping all your shit to somebody else's house to be able to do that together, yeah, the logistics of it just didn't make it practical.
No.
right.
And family demands didn't help either,
Right.
We had responsibilities and it wasn't always on the same page as our families.
Mhm,
Exactly.
mhm.
Yep.
So we kind of morphed into a writing group. And,
Mhm.
we talked a few minutes ago about, kind of getting some ideas for this podcast. And it's kind of blurry how we first started writing. I mean,
I'm
Judy
sure
and
it
I
had
did
to
a
do with-
little bit of writing together, but
I'm sure it had to do with you and Judy deciding it for us. and dragging Mom and I along for the ride. So
Just
We
writing-
kind of have
writing
those
is-
powerful
writing is not our-
personalities, right?
Writing is not our forte, right, Shel?
not so much.
You
Not
never
really.
know it. You guys are great.
But we've come
But-
a long way. You surely have.
I mean, so we have been writing, Michelle, you were just looking this up, since 2014 together. So we have been writing together for 9 years. So, I mean, in terms of history, now the first few years, it did not look like what we do right now.
No. And the first few years, I mean, it went for 7 years in one book.
Mhm.
And then last year's book, then this one is, oops, wrong way, that one. There we go.
It's
is
just 1 year.
1 year. So
is
7 years,
equal to
1
the
year.
whole first 7 years.
So we definitely evolved into a more committed group.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think part of that has to do with you, Michelle, because you are our organizational guru. Not only are you, your personality being a software engineer, very linear, but you play a big role in moving us forward. So why don't you
Yes,
kind of talk
huge.
about our organization?
I consider myself the Hitler of the group. Trying to be the taskmaster and keep everybody on point on our meetings, because there are certain things that we need to get through and need to get done in order for us to get those blog posts in every week. And if I left it up to the three of you, we would never get to our writing, because
It's kind of like herding cats, right?
it's herding cats, exactly. So I mean, I went through and I created our handy land, just a 1-page agenda that goes through, and I tell everybody when they're posting for the week, and we have a place for old business and new business, and where we talk about what our topic is, for helping, we help each other create our titles. And I just and lately I actually have gone to the extent of putting a time element on our agenda, because we said we're going to meet at Mom's at 5:30, and but then people are showing up at 5:45, 6 o'clock, and it's like, no, we need to be there at 5:30, and so that we're eating by 6 o'clock, so that we're done eating by 6:30, so we can start writing. We can get through the beginning part of the agenda and be writing by at least 7. Otherwise, like I said, you guys would
We talk. We like to talk about what's going on in our lives,
still be
and
sitting there.
Mhm.
So in order to I tend to, I can't stand meetings that go on and on and on, be it work-based, be it otherwise. It's like,
In other words, she's quite
our
bossy.
business. I'm very bossy. Yes. Yeah.
What was that, Sandy? I didn't quite hear that. What? Say it again.
In
I'm
other
very
words, she's
bossy,
quite bossy.
and I'm
quite
a
bossy, yeah.
control freak too. So I take the point of organizing and keeping everybody, doing what they're supposed to do. And
Perfect.
then once a month, I also, on the agenda, I have our list of topics, and where people can then, we have to go through and identify, pick your 4 favorite topics for the month of what we're going to talk about for the next month, and what we're going to write about. And yep, exactly. And so I keep everybody on track. So,
And you willingly take that job. It's not something that we rotate. It's just
I
wouldn't dare rotate it. It would never happen.
At this point, I'm not willing to give. I mean, I'm not willing to give control to anybody else.
We have analyzed our gifts, and none of us have that gift except you.
As you were talking, though, I thought you should add an item on our agenda that's called monkey business. You've got new business, old business, monkey business,
well, see, that can happen while we're eating. That has no place on our agenda, which is why we
Do
need
you
to stick
have
to
a
our
place
timetable.
on our agenda for brainstorming?
No.
Or is that just
I
part of
don't.
writing?
That brainstorming, that can also happen while we're eating.
During dinner.
Yep. Which is why people need to get there at 5:30, so that we can.
During dinner sometime, I can say, by the way, what are we writing about again tonight?
Guilty as charged. I'm often one that's late to that meeting.
Yep. So but I that's one thing that pops my cookie, is keeping things organized, and like literally, as far as for the Sidetracked Sisters blog, I mean, I go through and I have a task list of things that have to be accomplished every week, so that I can check something off my checklist that I got it done, even just the posting of our posts. And
sometimes, because we're family, we kind of get lax at our time, like being here at a certain time, and that's not good. You set a time, and just because we're family doesn't mean we can ignore that.
Well, and for me too, a lot of times, even on Thursday nights, even though after we get done with work or get done with our meeting, I still have work that I need to do. So I have to get back to my computer and get back to my job. So, I can't be lollygagging all night long, chit-chatting. I'd love to, but it just, I've got things that need to happen. So
along with organization, we have a little workaholic here, right, Michelle?
So, I mean, sometimes we are flexible. I mean, during COVID, we actually did this Zoom meeting, we, learned about Zoom and we started writing together using Zoom. And a couple weeks ago, I think, Michelle, you had some work responsibilities that kept you at home, so you Zoomed in. Mother's been at the cottage a couple of times, and so she'll, do the same. So, technology has definitely helped us moving forward. We don't skip, as my husband Craig will say, the world would come to an end, and the Sidetracked Sisters will still meet.
Well, good for Craig. I think I love that support.
He understands that, yeah, it's not negotiable.
Yep.
So, okay, which brings us to Judy. One of the things that's really beneficial to the Sidetracked Sisters getting together to write is really, yes, we have a product, we are encouraging others, but really, it is so shockingly rare that 4 people in the same family would have the interest to get together once a week and do something like this. And we really find that it builds our relationships.
Well, I think what's great about it is, literally, if somebody says, can you do
Judy,
this
once
Thursday?
again, your microphone's a little bit too far from your mouth.
Oh, that's a miracle.
There.
Usually the mouth is big. How's that? Better?
Yeah, much better.
I think it's such an interesting thing. We have to actually make our meeting a priority. If somebody wants to do something on Thursday night, I say, I'm sorry, I have a standing appointment on Thursday night. I can't change it. Well, what? You can't? No, can't change it. It's got to be, serious commitment. So I think that part has really helped us to grow our writing. When we first started, as Michelle was showing you, the first book, I think we were writing maybe once a week, sometimes once a year, sometimes once every couple of years.
It was once a month, I think, was our initial goal.
Yeah, and we were only posting just a limited number of posts, whereas today we are posting 7 days a week. And so we have on the weekend, we do an inspiration and humor post or a hashtag post or something just kind of fun and light. And then on Monday, Lisa does her podcast, and often I'm very, very happy to join her. The rest of the week, we have one of our blog posts posted each and every day. And that organization is just critical, and if somebody doesn't have that to Michelle in time, she just doesn't get it and it's up. She has work she has to do. So we all have to say, okay, this is a priority. My writing has to be done by 5 o'clock on Monday nights, even if you don't post till Thursday, because Michelle doesn't need to be waiting in suspense every night for the writing to come, right, Shell? And, I think sometimes if we could walk in her shoes, it would be a little bit more prominent in our lives to make that a priority. So, it's kind of hard because usually what do? You do your work first, you do the things with friends first, and then you do take care of your family. Well, we have to do it the other way around. The family business comes first, and that's Sidetracked Sisters.
Yeah.
So when we get together,
we kind of treat it like a business,
Yeah, it's not just a casual thing anymore. It's something, and we've got 4 people relying on this. So, it's no fun if somebody's always kind of, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to a movie on Thursday night. No, we make a commitment to do this. So when we get together, number one, it's just a great time. I often, since I'm the only one who's not part of the threesome of Sandy and her 2 girls, I always feel like, what's going on with everybody? So on Thursday night, that's my chance
Way to connect.
Yeah, to find out what's going on with you guys. How are the kids? What's new? What's happening? And we do that, as Michelle talked about. We actually do it as we're gathering if everybody's not there right at 5:30, but that's when we're making our salads and getting ready to do that. And then during the time that we're eating, Michelle allows us to chat or brainstorm or all. I'm not being mean, Michelle. I'm saying thank goodness for Michelle, because otherwise we would just talk until midnight and never get done.
But the whole secret behind this too is that we do this to have fun.
Yeah.
We aren't doing this because we feel we have to, but it's to enjoy ourselves, and we do enjoy being together, and
we're going to do it. We're going to have fun.
We will have fun. And then
that was Mother's phrase when we were cleaning as kids. Let's clean this house and let's have fun.
That's why I don't clean. I don't know anybody to have fun with. Anyway,
Yeah, well, we didn't have fun either, but anyway.
Not so much.
what I find is that Michelle makes it possible for us to have fun because we've set aside that time, and so then I'm sincere about that, Michelle. So then, after the meal, we do a little bit of brainstorming about what we're going to write about and what that's going to look like. And we try and keep it so that everybody's not like the topics could point everybody to the same writing, because we have a lot of mutual events in our lives.
Mhm.
But I think what I've noticed so far is everybody pretty much picks a topic that's in line with the line item. However, it talks to a different part of each of our lives, and that makes it just a little more interesting and a little more interesting for us. So
Well-
the other thing I noticed,
Look at that.
oh, that's our original Sidetracked Sisters. I sat down at the kitchen table and sketched that out. I've tried to do it again and I've lost my artistic talent. So we do have a new logo. Do you have that one, Lisa, Michelle?
No, not yet. Give me a second.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Okay, keep talking. Okay. What I have found is it's just amazing how as we write and as we continue to write, and the one thing we do after we write, we read it aloud to each other.
Mhm.
And
And-
critique each other.
And what do we always say right before we read? This is just rough, guys. This is my worst writing ever. This
I'm
is
gonna
I
have
don't
to
I didn't
rewrite
have
this
any
whole
good
thing.
ideas.
Yeah.
I don't say that.
No.
Mom
Michelle
does.
She's
Yeah.
usually putting the closing tips on hers and then listening to the rest of us bitch about it. So but we
Yeah,
read to each
I
other.
very seldom say that.
I
That's
always say,
true.
this is really boring. This is really dumb.
My post is usually done Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
It is rare that it is not completed Thursday night. Sometimes I even have it scheduled before I leave the meeting.
And you are the only one who does that.
And I'm the only one that does that.
Usually I have the meat of mine done, and I will often put a little intro or a conclusion after, but my story is usually done.
Right. I'm the same. I do very little tweaking. Once in a great while, I've had to do major tweaking, but very, very seldom.
Well, like this week's post, I realized after I got done writing it that I've already written about a majority of it
The same
in
exact post.
the past 8 years. And so I'm gonna have to go back and tweak it. But that is a rarity for me.
But what I think I'd like to also say is it feels like as each of us have continued to write, and then at the end, we read it aloud, and then we ask for constructive criticism. And I think this is really important to any writing group. We never say, that was really dumb. And Sandy knows I don't
Boring.
use the word never very often, but we try and always be, and I don't use always either, always and never. Those are my two, right, Sandy? We want to be constructive. We want to help the person. We want to make suggestions. If they want to follow them, fine. If they don't want to follow them, fine. It's their writing. We give each other tips to help us to be better writers. And my observation is that each of us has developed our writing techniques over the years. Style. And I think now if you had us write and then had a person read and I didn't know who was reading, I could tell who they were by their style.
Well, and the thing is though, there's no right or wrong either. This is a writing this is not like, you're gonna have it, critiqued or graded or anything. It's how you want to write it.
No red pencils on this. Yeah.
No, there's no right or wrong. It's your memory, it's your take on it, your words, your voice. The only thing we do with Mother is take out some of her extra words.
Mother has lots of wherefores and
heretofore.
Heretofore, and all that. Her
56
paralegal
years
training clicks in and we get all these phrases and it's like, what did you say?
Yeah, so we couldn't do
Which
that, so.
writing it in the rough draft and the first draft, that's fine. Then go through and take them out.
Right.
And I think Grammarly does that too, doesn't it?
It does.
It gives suggestions, yeah.
Yeah.
Says a few extra
So let's
words
wrap
here.
this up by talking about, our podcast is called Overcoming Writer's Block. And we are not, memoirists. We are not people who, have always wanted to write, or consider ourselves that our primary vocation or something that we're even necessarily good at. We're simply people who want to get our stories down. And I think getting together as a group, I mean, we've kind of touched on it a number of different times. We support one another. We enjoy one another. We want to help one another get those stories down.
Exactly.
And, even if the topics, Michelle, you were showing a few minutes ago, the list where we all kind of vote on topics for the upcoming month. There was, I think in the last one, all four of us did choose one of them. I think it was number 8. But the other ones, not so much.
Yeah.
And then the last one we picked, because in January we have 5 topics that we're going to write about. The last one was like, we just kind of, was like, it was a crap.
We do it a majority rule, so it's like if, whatever post has maybe 3 or people selected or 2 people selected, that's going to be what we write about, whatever,
And so what's fun though, even if I didn't, and when I first initially saw the topic, I thought, I don't know what to write about that. I'm going to have to write about that now, and guess what? Every time, now there was one time, Michelle, your post was, what was it? 2 sentences long?
Yeah. It was
You
about
have
autumn.
one.
It was about autumn. It was like 3 sentences long saying, I hate autumn. It sucks. It's muddy. It's starting to get cold. I hate autumn. And I think that was my post.
So that was the outlier. But after that, and since that, and before that, I think it's like 580 words is the average length of one of our writings.
Well, what I want to say that I don't think we've mentioned today is that we also have a time limit.
Oh yeah.
So we write for, Michelle sets a timer, of course.
Of course.
And it's 10 minutes. And at the end of 10 minutes, it goes, okay, now you have 5 minutes to wrap it up. So it's a 15-minute writing commitment. So for those people that say, oh, I don't have time to do that, 15 minutes in a week, I think we can figure that out, right? So that's how long we have. And what it does is it gives you that when you're sitting there getting started and she says go and hits the timer button, you don't sit around and think, do. You got to write, because we like to have, 300 to 600 words in a writing. And
I would say, yeah. And I would say when I leave there, I usually have maybe 380 or 400 words. But yeah, I mean, it's like you just start writing and see what comes out. Sometimes you've already brainstormed and that's going to be your topic. And other times it turns into something else.
And it's just, it's amazing. I mean, I am not a creative writer at all. I mean, that was my least, I mean, I'm a math and science person. And so writing was like, seriously, we're going to write? I mean, that's just not my forte. But when writing,
I would give Michelle the most improved of writing. I love your writing. You have done so well.
Just over the years, it's totally different when you're writing a story that you have lived. Oh, as I was also going to say, I mean, as far as the topics, another way we used to do the topics is we had a whole list of topics in a baggie, and we picked them out of the bag. And whatever we picked was what we did. It's sometimes we'd get a topic and go, what on earth were we thinking with this one? And so we pick another one. But I mean, it was, typically it was whatever we picked, that's what we were writing about.
That's right.
So,
yeah, exactly.
There was no rhyme or reason to them. I think you and I brainstormed a whole bunch of
like 80
fun
topics.
Ideas during a road trip coming back from Illinois one time.
Yeah,
and put them in a bag, and that was it. So we could have written about, stomping in puddles in December, right?
Well,
whatever.
That kind of mimics what you and I did way back when. I mean, we might pick a topic. We'd sit down at a lunch place and we'd say, okay, what are we going to write about? We might say street lights, or we might say
doorknobs.
Doorknobs. I remember that one. Yeah, it's just anything. But these feel good because they really are stories about our lives. And
that's what makes it, first of all, easier to write, because it is a story about something you have experienced. You're relating it. And I always keep telling the group, think of your grandkids reading this. what are they going to want to read about? They're not going to want to read about,
Doorknobs.
doorknobs. They're going to want to read about you banging your head on a doorknob. And, they want to hear the stories of, walking uphill in the winter, both ways
The
to
school
school.
both ways.
Absolutely. And,
Those kind of things. So
that thought I want to say as well is we're 4 people from the same family. We could write about exactly the same thing and they would be totally different. So
Yep.
you get to write your memories of the experience.
Mhm.
And there's no correction from another person because we're all different. We all have our own memories, right?
Right.
But
So
the
Well,
fun-
even, I want to say that sometimes the topic, if nothing comes, you can write the opposite of the topic.
Mhm.
So, it's not written in cement. This is simply to get you going.
Mhm.
And whatever comes out of the pen comes out. And I think the one, I don't want to say criticism, but the one critique that I often give people is I'm always listening, not for talking about the topic, but for saying, okay, you talked right there about, it was a kernel of a story. I want you to expand on that a little bit more.
Details.
Sometimes
Give me
we do.
details.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we have a story in there. And that's something that we consistently and continue to work on.
And that's good writing. I mean, those are those tips. I mean, Lisa has that background in her degrees and all, and that's so helpful. So helpful.
I was just going to say one thing about Sidetracked Sisters. I had written back in 2014. One of us is a control freak, and one of us is a little flighty. One of us is sensitive, and the other is analytical. When I give these descriptions, I have certain sisters in mind. Now, tomorrow, if I ask to classify the sisters again, it will be a different sister that is the control freak, a little flighty, sensitive, and analytical. We are all very much alike, but also very different.
I love that. I love that. That's
Love
really,
it.
really, that's really sweet. I like it a lot.
So
I
with
think
that, I think we are going to wrap this up, guys.
this has been
Very good.
great. This
So
has
I
been
hope
great.
we are inspiring people, whether you are getting together with a group of friends or just a group of writers, whether you're getting together on Zoom or in person.
Even if you can't get together with somebody, just start writing your legacy just so that you can share it with your family.
Mhm.
You share it with your kids, your grandkids, because you will be missed when you're gone.
Well, my experience is when you tell people what we're doing, they go, "Oh, that is so cool."
cool.
Exactly, yeah.
So I can't believe that you guys do that. You do that every week, and it's
Mhm.
like, yeah. And you know what? I miss it and I don't think we've missed more than one a year in the last 10 or 5, I should say. But I think that it's a habit, it's a benefit, and I love getting together with you guys.
Well, and if I can write, I mean anybody can, because I am the least of the creative, I mean, I find this out to be a creative outlet, and I am the least creative of the group. I mean, no. Organizational, fine. Creative, no, not so much.
Well, if
So,
you look in the lower right-hand corner of your picture, Michelle,
yeah.
there's the word love, and I think that says it in a capsule.
Aw.
We love what Michelle does, and we love our relationship with each other. So,
Mhm.
and we love to write now.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, take care, guys. See you
Bye,
on
all.
Thursday.
Bye.
Okay.
Talk
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye.
Smile.